So, as the title of the video suggests, we want to know, can Tommy FYeah and Garage S0 build a fast GTR? Yes, they can.
I'm Tommy FYeah from Garage S0 in Connecticut.
How can I break when I have no heart to be broken? If this is the end, when will it begin? Is there a way to live again? How can I dream if I was never awakened? How can it still hurt when I can feel the pain? We're not born to feel the pain.
In my early days, more like OEM plus, resto kind of stuff. Now more street car. The 6 to 7 horsepower range is, I believe, the most manageable for the normal person. I think like a lot of people want to overbuild stuff, and that's like the best bang for the buck. You're not spending too much to get there, but you're also not using a stock 2.6 that could potentially leave you on the side of the road. I want the car to be usable. The worst thing I think is when somebody overbuilds a car, it sits in the garage, they take it out 4 times a year. So that 6 to 700 horsepower range is, you get used to it, but you're never bored of it. You usually won't break a lot of drivetrain stuff. You could still have a pretty engine bay. I think as you start getting more, it gets harder to get a pretty engine bay. And that's kind of what we really like, is just the whole Japanese vibe of stuff. I have to talk shit a little bit about the Australian style. The RB30 is interesting. Super cool swap. Well, that's what it is to me. It's a swap. And I don't want a swap car. I don't want the negatives that come with the swap car, the higher deck height. Like, I don't want all that stuff. I don't want to deal with it. When HKS came out with the 24U based RB30, I was super excited because I got the displacement. I got to do the little Aussie experience without what I consider the downfalls.
Tommy's R33 may be clean and simple, but looks hot thanks to the small touches. Series 3 lip and headlights can't go wrong, but the Nismo 400R front bumper, 400R carbon hood, 400R side skirts, gold badging, Ganador mirrors, Nismo carbon garnish, twin carbon wing blade, and Volk bronze T37s set the car off. Inside those wheels is HKS brake kit. Inside the car is Series 3 interior with an HKS Nardi wheel and Nismo dash with green lighting. Simple, clean, but very effective, and a lesson in style for a GTR. Andrew's R34 has Z-Tune over fenders to fit larger rubber on the Nismo wheels, which have endless brakes inside. It has Mine's carbon front lip, mirrors, rear wing, and trunk lip spoiler. Inside is also clean and simple with Mine's steering wheel and trimmed parts in the middle and a Nismo dash. Both Tommy's R33 and Andrew's R34 run an HKS RB30 crate motor. These are based around an N1 block and use a unique nitride steel counterweight stroker crank with I-beam long conrods that push the gudgeon pin right up to the top of the piston, necessitating a 2-piece piston design, which we got to see assembled at the HKS headquarters. 87mm bore with 84mm stroke brings capacity just under 3 litres, but they still rate it to 9,000 RPM and 1,000 horsepower. The HKS ported and assembled head includes V-Cam, Step Pro inlet, and Step 2 280-degree exhaust camshaft. It uses the entire HKS catalogue, from sodium-filled exhaust valves and springs, to head gasket, timing belt and trigger kit, to cam covers and 35 coils. Both cars run a Nismo inlet manifold, And Tommy's R33 has an HKS fuel rail, while Andrew's car has a Mines fuel rail, both with IDX 1750 injectors, graded fuel lines, fuel pumps, and fuel pressure regulators. The other difference is Tommy's car runs a 100mm Nismo intercooler, while Andrew's R34 runs an ARC 100mm intercooler and ARC radiator. Tommy's car runs an HKS strut brace, while Andrew's runs a Nismo strut brace. They both run the same old school low mount HKS single turbo kit, but modernised with HKS 75-100 turbo, which is based on the G40 1150 turbochargers and HKS external wastegate. Tommy runs Greddy filters to keep the black theme, while Andrew runs Blitz pod filters to keep the polished look.
I have all the HKS Goods Masters. Thumbing through one day, I have like the 1994 edition and found that cast low mount kit. Now, as you know, tubular, especially the Japanese, they tend to crack a bit. So I avoided that because I don't want to deal with that. Then when I found this cast kit, I'm like, okay, cast is obviously better. It was really pretty, and I love that upper intercooler pipe. I'll be honest, that's the only reason I have those turbo kits. But I found one in Poland. My buddy in the UK got me the one there, and I had those two just kicking around for years. And I used to bolt them onto engines and just look at them, figure it out. You know, we didn't use the old turbo. They were old Honeywell, like crazy looking turbos. But then once the G Series came out with HKS, when they started doing that G Series line, that was when I knew. And then once the 3-liter came out, it was like, it's time to make some power, because I always wanted to have that efficiency. If 2.6s were the only ones that existed, I'd probably be running around with GTSSs on everything, you know. 2.8s, we only do the 2530, the GT34R single, and we dabbled with the GTRs, which is 2540. But with the 3-liter, you open up the big turbos. We're new to the big turbo game. My car originally had a 6290, which is a G35 1050, and Andrew's car always had the turbo he had. After driving them, my car was fun, but just lacked that punch. When these started, and we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what to expect from 30 because no one really had one, and we didn't know what to expect from those turbos as far as lag and boost threshold. To be fair, the G40 1150 is all of the G35 1050 and then some, with, I would say, no negatives. I've yet to get in the car and be like, oh, I missed that one moment with the G35 that I'm not getting now with the G40. This car it's next level. It's fun. Capacity's king, but there was also negatives to the 3-liter. Like, I couldn't run the G35 1050. It rolled over too much. There was things like that. So the other thing, you have to remember, there's a business behind me. So when I want to do a setup, it needs to be something that I can also apply to the business for a ton of reasons. It needs to be repeatable. It needs to be easy, let's say. And these 3-liters were that. But truthfully, the 2.6 to 2.8 to me feels like a greater jump than the 2.8 to the 3-liter. I didn't know what to expect. Forget the numbers and all that. It was like how it feels. The car's making 922 horsepower, 715 foot-pounds of torque in like 90-degree heat on the worst day of the year, I'd say. I'm not gonna call it a 1,000 horsepower car. It's a 900 horsepower car, I guess, but I was more surprised at what that feels like, because, you know, a 650 horsepower car rips. A lot of people on the internet think like, oh, if you're not making 1,000, 650 horsepower kill 90% of your viewers. But the 900 in the 33, I'll just say we got lucky. That car tracks well, you know, track straight. I don't mean like road track. I mean like stays in the straight line, does everything you would want a car to do at 650 at 9. And the most interesting part, now feeling the 900, it's gnarly, but it's manageable in the 33. In the 32, you won't see me making a 900 horsepower 32. You just won't see it. I get it. There's a lot of downsides to it though too. You know, we drove to the pizza place the other night, and there and back we used a whole tank of gas. The thing that, for me, I own these cars because of nostalgia, and I don't believe it should stop on the exterior. I think the parts, the feel, the smells, like all that should go with it. If I wanted to build the fastest car, probably wouldn't be a GTR, even though they're amazing cars. Like I told you earlier, geography is huge. If you live in Texas, that matters, because I've driven around, or Florida. The roads are boring, so you need 1,000 horsepower to get from light to light and have fun. So 900, while it's like too much, there's roads that cater to it. You know, the road on the way to Lime Rock, you can do 120 the whole way if you wanted to break the law, and a 900 horsepower car can do it better than a 500 horsepower car, but it's not that much. I would argue if you were in this and I was in 400 horsepower, on the longer sweepers, you would pull away from me, but everywhere else, you're not going anywhere. You're gonna drive a 500 horsepower car all the way. You're gonna drive a 900 horsepower car none of the way until you run out of talent, you know? I don't really care about quarter mile times. There's zero consideration in my builds for the quarter mile. There's just not that culture here. You've got rich dudes in Porsches here. You've got Vipers. You've got, I mean, you go to Cars and Coffee on Sunday, you'll see like crazy stuff that I would try to mess with. It's never light to light. It's never, I'll see you at the drag strip. It's never proving numbers. I don't need to prove anything here. We're building fun street cars, and we don't have any customers that don't think the cars are fun. And that's all I care about. So last year, to give you an idea, which everyone says this, but like the 33 first start was 2 nights before the cars left for GTR Festival. The 34 was that morning. I literally started the car, drove it out of the truck into the trailer, and we were like messing with it a little bit in GTR Festival. So this year, my goal was to have this dialed, that dialed, and I want the 32 there. So the different things we'll be bringing is my 34, my 32, and my 32 is a long time coming. I think you're gonna appreciate a little bit of that. You know, GTR Festival is a place to show, to unveil them, you know what I mean? To finally get them out there, be able to drive them. It's the dead of winter here, you know, it's the beginning of the dead of winter here, and it's decent over there. It's nice and cool, the roads are great, so I look forward to it.